All right, hello. My name is Osmore, and this is my submission to AGDQ 2024 for Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. Specifically, Reverse Tree Order is essentially playing the entire game backward. There's an all God cubes category, in which you have to, of course, collect every God cube in the game, and then there's the Reverse Tree Order, which is the complete inverse of that. That is only possible through very exclusive and very specific glitches that we use in this category, and that are this is probably, in my opinion, the most objectively entertaining and objectively most interesting category of the game, both to run and to watch, especially if you're familiar with the game. And so this is Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. We're just going to get right into it, and I'll explain everything as we go along. And there's a lot to explain, not a lot of time to explain them, so I hope you enjoy. We're going to start directly from a new, completely fresh save file. We're going to delete the one that we just came from. And so timing will begin once I press start, or right there. All right. So immediately you're going to be able to see that I'm changing gravity every single time. You can't jump in this game, but rather you can change gravity and based on whatever wall you're currently facing at. And you need to be up close to the wall in order to change gravity towards it. You can see that I have instant gravity change turned on, so instead of there being an animation for each and every gravity change, you can just do it instantly, and that saves a lot of time. Right here, what I'm doing is known as a wall clip. There's two parts to it: clipping yourself through the wall, which you just go up close to the wall, and then a cube that you're interacting with, just place it down and it'll push you forward through the wall. And then when you need to clip the cube through the wall with you, all you got to do is screenshot and then press F to screenshot, because we have that rebind, and then interact with the object at the same time to pull it through like that. So we used one cube in order to open up the door to this tower, and now we're using the second cube, and we're going to be going straight to the corner instead of towards the entrance that you see on the right, because in the corner there is a secret exit, and the secret exit allows us to get to a specific part of the game that allows us to get to the final room quicker. So right here, we're just going to wall clip through, again, pushing myself through and then pushing the cube through by screenshot and then interact at the same time. We're going to do it right here. Screenshot, interact. Perfect. And so it's really finicky sometimes, but usually you're able to get within the first few tries, and as long as you have your setups correctly. We're going to walk up again through here, bring the cube through, and we're going to leave it there this time. We're not going to bring it with us. And we're going to go pretty much into the final puzzle of the game. Right here in this room is the final puzzle of the game, in which we're going to unlock the rainbow tree and therefore the rainbow god cube first. We're going to take this cube and we're going to fall all the way down with it, because you can see there's this line of water, there's this river that we're going to be following. And we're going to follow it over to this next island right here, in which we're going to plant it, because when you plant it in specific spots on the ground, as you can see, that's denoted by the square, you can turn it into a tree, and then it'll spawn more cubes, just like a seed works. And a mechanic that we introduced to about halfway through the game casually is going to be used now, in which we can redirect the water based on which way the cube is positioned. As you can see, there's little crevices that can direct the water. So right here, we're just going to be going over here. What we did was we redirected the water in order to turn on a water wheel that will unlock the dark cube that we're looking at right now. There's like a whole animation like associated with it, where you have to shoot the laser at the dark cube. So if you just save and load, you can skip that entire animation by itself. And that allows us to grab the dark cube, and we're going to place it into the tree that will spawn the rainbow god cube. But every time you do that, there is a wonderful associated animation that comes with it, in which you get to see a lot of really pretty colors, because this is a really pretty game. And so this is going to be for most god cubes, not all, there is a way to actually skip this animation for specific god cubes that we're going to be seeing later throughout the run. But as for now, we're just getting the reverse, or the rainbow god cube in the quote intended way. Obviously, what we did wasn't really intended, but the intended in the sense that you have to actually watch this cutscene in order to collect it. So now the tree disappears, we can grab the rainbow god cube, and typically in normal all god cubes run, this would be like the final stretch in which you can be like, get last donations in right now. But since we do this first, there's actually a good first time for donations, because what we're doing is we're just climbing up this flight of stairs in order to plant the rainbow god cube into its pedestal. It's a very dramatic moment that feels just a little bit anticlimactic because it happens first, but it doesn't take away from the beauty of it. It really doesn't. So now we've gone up these. Oh, there's another flight of stairs. This is a really long hallway. I always forget. Or, you always think that you're gonna be able to go to the god cube and realize there's another flight of stairs at the beginning. So right there, we're just going to be playing rainbow god cube into its tree. There's a tree that plants itself, but we don't have time to watch it grow. And so we are just going to go backwards. We could go beat the game right now if we wanted to. And so like roll credits beat the game. But right there, we have to go back because we still have 7 or 6 more god cubes to collect before we beat the game. So now we're going to go over to the orange god cube. We're going to fall all the way back to where we were before, pretty much the entrance of this section. Move back and then land right here with the god cube. Boom, like that. With the cube that we planted there earlier, I should say. And then we're going to wall clip back through. And we're going to wall clip back into the main tower, main hallway area that we were in before. But this time we're going to leave the blue cube here. And I want you to remember him because he's a special surprise tool that is going to help us later. And so we're just going to be going forward. And we're going to be falling down back to the entrance of this tower that we originally came from in order to get the rainbow cube in the first place. We're going to take this cube that we planted. And we're going to be wall clipping with it. Pushing ourselves through. Then clipping the cube with it. And then now we're going to be landing right here, putting this cube into its respective pedestal. And now we're going to be going into a secret area that you can actually get to pretty early on casually if you know what you're doing. And I bet most people who played this casually probably didn't get this one. We're going to be wall clipping through with this yellow cube. And now we're going to be wall clipping again with the yellow cube in order to activate a door on the other side that's inside of this hallway. And one thing that I mentioned, as you can see, or one thing that I forgot to mention, as you can see, every single plane of gravity, all 6 sides, are associated with specific colors. So that's why I usually refer to them as colors instead of like the specific plane of gravity that they're on. And so now we're going to be changing gravity over to yellow, or to orange, I should say. And we're going to be falling all the way down, and we're going to be hitting the little window part that my crosshair is on right now. We want to land on a very specific part of the window. And we want to land right here, right above the entrance to this door casually. You can just clip through, boom, and you don't need the cube with you anymore this time. You can just change gravity over to green, turn on the button, and then quickly fall through instead of walking. As you can see there, walking is usually slower than falling, the falling speed. So every time you go through a hallway like that, it's always faster to just fall to where you need to go instead of walking. And that's pretty common throughout the majority of the run. So now we're going to take this cube wall clip through here and then plant it here to activate the orange dark cube that we can plant into the orange tree. And so as you can see, the laser just shot there, activated the dark cube, freed it from its cage, and so we can use it. One thing that I forgot to mention about the dark cube is that you cannot change gravity with the dark cube in hand, and so you have to be really careful with it, because if you let it go over too much time, it'll reset. And so we can wall clip with the god cube and then immediately clip it through in order to plant it into this tree without having to worry about any of the actual puzzle solving of this level. So yeah, here's another very pretty animation that is associated with the orange cube. It's supposed to combine all of the colors that you're supposed to have gotten at this point, because the game does kind of lead you through a semi-linear path of going blue, red, green, yellow, purple, orange, rainbow. But we are going to rainbow and then orange first. So yeah, that is pretty much all of orange. And again, it's going to lead us to a very pretty area in which we are going to see all of the trees that we're going to be planting out throughout the entire run. It's going to be starting off with the orange cube because the rainbow tree is in a separate area of the map. And so we're going to be starting off right here with orange by planting the tree, causing a bunch of pretty birds and stuff to fly by. But we don't have time to watch any of that because we need to go and collect the rest of the dark cubes. We're going to be falling backwards to where we were before, much like we did with the rainbow. But this time we're going to be going back into this hallway, and again falling through the hallway instead of walking. And we're going to be changing gravity on this door frame twice in order to get over here, activate these 2 doors on the red plane. And now we're just going to be falling down. You want to keep holding forward because otherwise like you're going to get stuck on the stairs. And now we're going to be going over to get the purple God Cube, and this specific God Cube is going to be getting in a way that's a bit different. But first, right there, what you saw was an introduction to something called save warping, and essentially what you do is you save on one side of a portal you're supposed to walk through, and then load on the other side. The way that this game, like when you load a save, the game like physically drags your character to like where you're supposed to be on the map as the loading screen is happening. So if you load on one side of the portal, and then the game pulls you through the portal, and essentially you end up on the other side. So that's a really useful thing that we're going to be seeing a lot throughout this run. So right here, we're going to be activating this yellow cube and turning it into a red cube by changing its gravity direction with that special mechanic that we are introduced to here. And now we're going to be clipping through here. I do remember that this takes a little bit because sometimes the wall clips won't go on cooperate. That's the thing about wall clips. Sometimes they're a little bit finicky, as I said, and so it's hard to always have them like first try. But typically, because of that, you can get them within like, the first few tries, and it'll still save loads of time. And so right here, we're going to save and load. The reason that we're saving and loading is because every single tree that you saw me plant a dark cube in, it actually already has the God cube in there. It's at the base of the tree, and so by saving and loading, it'll cause the God cube to essentially spawn at the base of the tree immediately. You can see some of the geometry actually clicking out right there. And so what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be doing the exact same thing we do with like a wall clip, except we're going to be clipping into the tree, having the cube push us forward. And when you move your crosshair at a very specific angle and like try to aim it at a very specific part of the base of the tree, you're able to grab the God cube directly from the tree, and it skips pretty much all of the animation that is like associated that you saw with Rainbow and Orange. It skips having to get the dark cube completely. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't we do that for Rainbow and Orange? It's because several cubes in this game are much more consistent than others, and so we have not really found a way to viably like get clip into Rainbow and Orange in a way that will save time that isn't going to have you sitting there forever. And so that also applies to Yellow, which is the next cube that we're going to be getting right here. But now that we're done with Purple, we plant it into its landed the God cube into its tree, and now we can go and do another save warp out of this area, similarly to how we save warped in, saving on one side, having the character pull us through with the load. So yeah, that is Purple. Going straight on to Yellow. Yellow is a very interesting area. There's a lot of interesting movement and a few mechanics that are introduced specifically in the Yellow area for us, since we're playing the game backwards. It's supposed to be introduced earlier in the game, but you know, this is the first time we're going to be introduced to some specific mechanics in the Yellow area. We're going to do another save warp that'll bring us in, so we can skip having to actually open the door manually ourselves. And so now we're going to be solving this next room in, believe it or not, the intended way of the puzzle. Because you actually want to do it. You could theoretically skip this, but it's not beneficial because it'll set up for something that we have to do later if you solve it the correct, intended way. And so we're going to be changing gravity of that red cube in order to have it turn into a yellow cube to fill up that pedestal on the wall over here, using the red cube over here, boom, and replanting the red cube in order to activate both of those at the same time. And now we're going to grab a dual gravity cube, a cube that has gravity in two directions, yellow and green in this instance, and immediately grab them like that as it's falling down. So we're going to be putting the cube up high on top of us, and then using the cube in order to change gravity, and then catching it before it falls down completely. There we go. And now we want to place this cube in a very specific spot when it comes down, when we clip through here. That should work. And so that's going to be important for us later. We're going to be clipping into that building, planting the blue cube into a pedestal right there, and then using the other blue cube in order to perform a wall clip, or in this case, it's more like a floor clip into this next room in order to activate in order to get this yellow cube. And surprise, surprise, we're going to be performing another wall clip with it, but this one is more important because we're going to be clipping through this corner of the tree like so. And Amerlin, if you're watching this, I love you. That clip is dedicated to you. And so that clip allows us to plant the red cube into its pedestal that opens the door, and get the other red cube in order to activate the laser that will open up the dark yellow cube, the yellow dark cube for us. And so we have to wait for this animation. We can't save and load like we did with the rainbow one, because this one actually is short. It'll lose time if we save and load. Grabbing the yellow dark cube, and much like the orange dark cube, we're actually going to be wall clipping with this one. And because you haven't opened up any of these doors, we're going to be wall clipping into the room that has the yellow god cube's tree. Once we place that, again, another beautiful animation to associate with it. And so another good time for a donation or two as we're looking at all of the pretty colors. As you can see, it combines yellow, red, a bit of green and blue as well, because those are all the colors that the game expects you to have done by now, like I mentioned before. So yeah, that is yellow. And that is going to be the last cube that we get in, like, again, the quote intended way of planting the dark cube into the tree and then watching this animation, and then unlocking the god cube. Green, red, and blue will all be used with tree clips, because those ones we have found to be really, really consistent. And I agree. It's like green, red, blue, especially green, is some of the more consistent ones. Red can be really finicky, but usually you get it within the first few tries. So we're going to be planting this yellow cube into this tree. Again, no time to watch it grow. And now we're going to be changing gravity back to a very specific spot, like so, in order to fall down here and go back to the entrance that we came in to this level through. And we're going to go and to the green area to get the green god cube. Click. Change gravity here. Twice on the door frame like we usually do. It's a very nice time save. And as you can see there, when we clipped with this god cube, we placed it in a very specific spot so that it falls down, so we want to grab it on top of that door frame again. And that is why you actually want to solve that initial room the intended way, so that door stays open, so you can bring the dual gravity cube with you and go through this secret area that it accesses a shortcut that'll lead us directly to the green green, red, and blue area that allows us to, like the hub world that allows us to access green, red, and blue god cubes all at once. And so we're going to be going here, and from this point onwards, a lot of the movement and a lot of the tech, with specific exceptions, are very similar to that of all god cubes. And so if you have seen a speedrun of that, that we're going to be seeing some similar stuff, but there's also some very unique stuff that happens within reverse tree order that is not exclusive to that is exclusive to reverse tree order, and that doesn't happen in all god cubes. First, we're going to be changing gravity here, falling down these stairs, changing to purple so you can fall through this lovely hallway that's using a lot of promotional material. And now we're going to be falling down here, taking this cube off of that button in order to deactivate the doors. Perfect. And this room is really cool because we're going to be using the cubes in order to change gravity. You can take advantage of that. You don't have to be exactly at a wall, just some place that you can change gravity with. The cubes work. Wait for that cube to fall down on that button so they can open the door after we release it from the bridge. And we're going to go through this door frame in order to unlock green by save warping. Saving on one side, loading on the other, getting pulled through. So yeah, green is pretty much the shortest split, aside from purple. Usually in all god cubes, green is objectively like the smallest split, no matter what. But this is actually one of the more one of the easier areas, I should say, especially with the clip that you're going to be using to get into the tree with. And so we're going to be falling down here, and we're going to be using this cube in order to clip through this floor that allows us to change gravity and clip through the very same area with the green cube, but on a different plane of gravity, so we can use this cube to clip into the tree. Again, save loading so that we can have the god cube appear at the base of the tree and have some collision pop out. And I don't know if I get this completely like as quickly as I'm remembering it, but you can like just immediately clip in with the green cube. As you can see there, that is what a clip looks like if you clip on top of the base instead of in the base. But as you can see here, just within the first few tries, you almost immediately get the green cube. Again, the lineups for this are a little finicky in that it's very, very precise where you need to be grabbing the god cubes from when they're in the base of the tree, and so we're able to get it. Typically, the green god cube is a little bit easier to get out than that, but in that specific day, I just didn't want to cooperate, or was a little bit more struggling, and so we're gonna clip through along with this guy, and now we're going to be planting that into the god cube, or the god cube into its tree, and falling backwards once again, so that now we can go to the red area and get the red cube. A bit of a time loss on PB, but as you can see, the last 3 splits we're going to really hammer it home and go at some ungodly speeds. And now we're going to be save warping again in order to get out of this area, similarly to how we came in. So yeah, now we're going to go over to red. Red is a very interesting area. There's a lot of really cool ways that we take advantage of wall clips and other glitches in order to sequence break a lot of the stuff that we see in red. And so now we're going to be using, again, this is where originally dual gravity cubes are introduced, but we saw them earlier since we played the game backwards. And so now we're going to be changing gravity right here in order to line up that cube with the button on the ceiling. And now we're going to be changing gravity to prevent this cube from falling. Boom. As soon as that button activates, we're going to take the red cube that we placed there and walk through with it, because we actually want to wall clip with it later. Oh, tragic, but just going to change gravity, open the door, walk through the door sideways with the cube in order to clip through this window with the cube. That's why we brought it all the way over here. Clip the cube through with us, because we're going to be wall clipping again over there through a floor, actually, that allows us to get this yellow cube and once again wall clip through with it, and skipping that entire tower that is filled with puzzles. There's another way you're supposed to get this cube out of the that tower by solving a bunch of puzzles, but we don't have time for that. And so right now you're going to hear some beautiful sounds. That's the sound of that marble moving through the tube. So every time the tube hits the side, that's how I know when to change gravity so they can keep going through the tube. And so with enough practice, you're able to do that. You don't necessarily have to focus too much. Just as soon as you hear the sound of the ding, the ball hitting the floor, that's how you know to change gravity and have it go through the rest of the tube. And so now we're going to be clipping through here with this red cube once more, and we're going to be using this red cube in order to tree clip into the final god cube tree, or into the second to last god cube tree, I should say. Now we're going to be falling down, boom, and grabbing this guy. This one actually takes a lot. This one's actually a lot quicker than how I usually take it, because that one can be really, really hard to grab. Thankfully, we were able to get it really quickly, and within the first try with the tree clip as well. Taking this guy, unfortunately, we encountered a glitch in which we were able to move the tree, the god cube, like through the wall, but it didn't clip in with us, and so it ended up boarding out. And so all you have to do is load again in order to fix that. But thankfully, we still saved enough time in order to move on with the run. And now we're going to get the last god cube. And you can see that since we were in that area with all the trees that we planted, we were able to actually come back to the orange cube area. And we're going to take advantage of that by going back through a shortcut that leads us to a spot that's similar to where we were with the rainbow cube. And so we're going to just fall through here. And we're in this hallway. Remember this hallway that we saw when we went to go get the rainbow cube? And remember this guy, the side that we said we're going to be a surprise to later? Well, he's here to help us out now because he is the star of the show. We're going to be clipping through this wall with him, and immediately just, as you can see, this is probably the one that you struggle with the most in the run. And so, boom, now I want to cooperate. Good job, little guy. And so we're going to be falling down this hallway right here, or this tower, I should say, and we're going to be landing on this platform, opening the door, and now we're going to be falling directly down. There's a lot of puzzle here that you're supposed to solve. We can just go directly to the tree because we're going to be saving and loading right here. And we're going to have the God Cube spawn at the base of the tree. And now we're going to be clipping straight through it. I forget exactly how many times I end up clipping through. I hope it's first try. Yes, it is. Perfect. And now we're going to be just grabbing the blue dark cube, or the blue God Cube. Boom. Yeah, putting it there. Saving our position in the cubes. Loading. Getting pulled through with the save warp. And on the other side of that, you clip the cube in with you. And boom, that is all of the God Cubes collected. The moment we plant this in, all we have to do is go finish the game. And so we're going to be raising it, planting it at the final tree. And now all we have to do is go through the game and go to the end of the game. And did you know that this game actually has a fast travel system? Yes. We're going to be going to this area that has a bunch of dioramas of all of the areas, and all you have to do is click on the diorama of the area you want to go to, and you'll fast travel there. A beautiful animation to accompany it. We're going to be fast traveling over to the rainbow area, and immediately next to where we got the God Cube. So now all you have to do is fall down here. There's an invisible wall there, which is why we changed gravity again, and we're going to keep falling. And the final thing that we're going to be doing actually is changing gravity on a waterfall, no less, and falling through here. There's one last trick we have to do, and that is by changing gravity in very specific spots, right there. Boom, boom, boom. You were able to actually go over a trigger that prevents you from changing gravity. So instead of walking down this catwalk, we can just fall. Okay, so that is Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. We collected every single God Cube and planted to all of its trees in backwards order, which is an absolutely wild thing you can do with all the glitches that have been discovered in this game, and just with the way that the level geometry is handled and laid out in the game as a whole. So yeah, that is the end of the run. This fall lasts for a good amount of time. As you can see, it lasts around 14 more seconds because that's how long my PB is. So yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed the run. Timing will end once this animation is done and the kaleidoscope appears on screen. So 3, 2, 1, and time. It's like 17. Beautiful. So yeah. So that's really good. At the time of recording, this is the current world record. And so I think this is an amazing run, and I'm super proud of the direction that this game has come. Sub 26, so incredibly possible with a few more grinding, but sometimes the wall clips just don't feel like participating, don't feel like cooperating, and so you just gotta keep going. And this is one of the few runs that I can gladly just keep grinding and grinding and grinding over and over again. It's amazing. And so it is a like a mind twist and a huge puzzler for a lot of people, and maybe watching it for the first time, you might not be able to go what's going on, but I hope that I explained it in the best way possible, and so people can just see how much we can break the game and how beautiful this game is, even in a speedrun sense, and I mean that both visually and just in how much you can do with it, and so I hope to see this on stage in the marathon, because it's a run that I'm obsessed with and that I love so much. And so yeah, that is all for me. That is Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. I've been Osborne. I hope you can really consider this because it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful run. So yeah, that's all for me. Take care. I'll see you around.